What's up guys, my name is Ace, and welcome back to The Breakdown, the series where I analyze gameplay to help you improve. In today's episode, we're going to be analyzing a Team Deathmatch gameplay on Defender from SeriousDig. Let's get into it. Alright guys, so as always, let's start it off with the class. So he's using the HBRA Insanity, which, by the way, I'm super jealous of because that's the one gun that I really want right now. That's like the last gun I want to complete my collection, and I don't have it, so I'm jealous. But he's using that with the foregrip, quick draw grip, and laser sight. So the foregrip, great choice on this gun. I have picked this gun up several times, even though I don't have it. I've used it several times, and it does have some pretty high recoil. So that foregrip, for me, is practically a necessity if you're going with the Insanity, based on the little bit of experience I've had with it, as well as a lot of the gameplay that I've seen from people. It has a lot of recoil, so that foregrip is needed. Almost needed. As for the quick draw grip and laser sight, individually, these are great attachments. Especially when you have a higher fire rate, having that laser sight is usually really helpful. But to me, having both of them on at the same time is a little bit redundant and kind of counterproductive, I guess is how I would say it. So when you have a quick draw grip, the whole idea behind that is snapping on a target very quickly without hip firing. When you have laser sight, it's more so about hip firing in those close quarter situations or hip firing into aiming down sight while you're in a gunfight. And it doesn't really lend itself well to having a quick draw grip. You're either going to snap on target or you're going to hip fire. Pick one or the other. That's how I would do it. You might disagree, but personally, I feel like you're wasting an attachment here that could be spent elsewhere. As for perks, we have lightweight, peripherals, toughness, and blast suppressor. All of these are great perks, especially for Team Deathmatch. If you're playing an objective game mode, especially something like Domination where score streaks are basically everywhere all the time, I would highly recommend Blind Eye, but because you're playing Team Deathmatch, peripherals is a great choice. As for score streaks, we have just a standard UAV, and then we have the aerial assault drone with AI control and rockets. And this is an excellent choice for score streaks. I probably would have popped a few modules on the UAV. Even if you end up going with a support module, go with support and like threat detection. I find threat detection is awesome. And just the standard UAV, sure, it can be helpful, but at the same time, a lot of times it doesn't help nearly as much as some of the modules would help on those score streaks or on that UAV. Now, I thought this class looked a little bit light and I couldn't figure out what was wrong with it. You actually have overkill as a wild card on this class. I'm not sure if you knew that already. I know I've screwed that up a couple times, or I've had a class where I had overkill and no other weapon on. I just had the one weapon. But yeah, you are wasting 2 points here on overkill. I think it's 2 points. Maybe it's just 1 point. Either way, you're wasting some points on overkill, and that could have been better spent elsewhere, like on an exo ability or stun grenades or grenades, whatever it might be. That could have been better spent elsewhere. Alright, so let's get right into the gameplay here. So for the opening rush, instead of actually rushing, you actually come up on top of this roof and you just lay down and aim at this area. Personally, I like to actually rush in and try and meet the enemies head on and beat them to a power position rather than waiting for them to come to you. Reason for this is it kind of sets the tone for the rest of the game, and that's just maybe because I'm more of an aggressive player. You seem to be a little bit more on the defensive side, and there's nothing wrong with that. I just personally would suggest rushing in that situation because you kind of wasted that whole initial rush just by laying down and doing nothing. Now right there, you kind of pushed in and you had no escape route. This is something we're going to see throughout the entire gameplay. So we'll back it up there. You pushed in, you got some enemies, you knew where they were, you had good awareness there, you killed a couple enemies, but then you kind of got surrounded by enemies at that point as well. This is why you want to kind of keep moving and always have a way out. Always have a safe area to escape to. You kind of put yourself right out into the open there, right in the middle of everything, and you had no way out in that situation, and you just got surrounded and got killed. Always try to leave an escape route when you're trying to position yourself. So right here, when you spawn in, this is something I really like. You're a little bit cautious coming off spawn, and this is something that not many people do. They're not very cautious. They just sprint off spawn, and I'm guilty of this a lot of the times. I just sprint out of spawn because I feel like, oh, I should be safe. The game will spawn me somewhere safe. It doesn't really happen. So you actually got shot off spawn a lot, and instead of trying to challenge the enemy, you backed off and you healed up, which was great. Another thing a lot of people do sometimes is they're way too aggressive there. Now right here, this is actually good awareness. You were shooting at that one enemy, and then you can tell that you saw on the mini-map that there was an enemy behind you So you did turn around quickly and tried to challenge him. So it's good that I can see that you're actually watching your minimap, that you're paying attention to what's going on around you, and you're not just getting tunnel vision on the enemy that's in front of you that has no chance of even really killing you because he was oblivious to you even being there. Now, as you come off spawn here, there's something that I like and don't like. So the first thing I don't like is how you jump up into the air like this. This is a completely unnecessary jump. I know you're kind of using it to check the area, but you're also just exposing yourself when you don't need to be exposing yourself. You do that a few times throughout this gameplay. The thing I do like is how you used cover really effectively in this gunfight as soon as you saw that there was an enemy, and that allowed you to win that gunfight with ease. But then right after you win that gunfight, again, you just jump up into the air, and this was completely unnecessary, and these are the kinds of things that will, they basically just announce that you're coming towards the enemy. It's like, hey, look at me, I'm up in the sky, come shoot me. And you don't really have a place to go to avoid those enemies if they do see you when you're up in the sky like that. So don't jump just for the sake of jumping. Only jump when it's actually a tactical advantage that you're gaining from that jump. So I'm going to back things up again. Right after that sequence that we just talked about where you were jumping, I want to pause it right here. Now, where are the two directions that you really have to worry about? Or where are the directions you have to worry about? There are only two main ones anyways. Your back is pretty well safe because that's the edge of the map, so that's good. That's why you want to stick to the edge of the map a lot of the times, because that cuts off one area that the enemies can get to you. Your left side, you just came from there, you have teammates over there. It's extremely likely that is completely safe. You're looking in one of the directions that's a danger zone, essentially, where enemies could be coming from, but you're completely forgetting about probably the most dangerous area of all, and that is to your right. There is a really popular spawn right behind there. This is the direction that you should be expecting enemies to come from. Of course, the area you're looking at right now, it is possible enemies are going to be passing through there, but they're not the real dangers in this situation. They're kind of the secondary danger. So it would be okay to have a peek over here, just have a really quick look, see if there's any enemies. If there isn't, then move on. But you kind of lingered there for a little bit too long and you completely exposed your side while doing this, and this is what got you killed there. Now, one positive thing that I'd really like to point out with your gameplay is your ability to snap on a target, and your accuracy is actually quite good. Every now and then it's a little bit on the shaky side, but everybody's really is every now and then. So it's not really that bad. You're able to snap on a target quite quickly, and I really wanted to point that out. That's something I didn't want to miss in this gameplay. So keep that up, keep practicing that. It will get even better over time, but it's already quite good. So that's definitely one of your strengths. So coming up right here, you come up, you're using cover nicely. You're in a bit of a predictable area, but that's okay. In this gunfight, you had the advantage, and you realize when you're not on target, you kind of dashed out of the way and got out of there, which was smart because you weren't on target and you knew it. This is the part I really wanted to point out though. Not only your awareness, you had great awareness there. I think you probably have a headset and you heard your enemy get killed behind you, or you heard shots behind you. But it's not so much just the awareness, it's the actual movement that you used in this situation that I really like. And this is something that I don't see people doing enough, and I use this all the time, and it saves your life so often, and it allows you to turn on enemies very easily. Basically, you dashed as you turned. You dashed sideways as you turned around. And this is actually a very difficult move to counter. I've actually been killed by this a few times as well. When you come around a corner, you see somebody's back, and they suddenly dash and spin and then start shooting you. You have very little chance of actually getting that kill unless you were ready for that move. So very, very good job with this movement. And you actually did this a few times throughout the gameplay as well. Alright guys, so this video has already gone on quite long, but there is one more situation I want to show you guys that I noticed in this gameplay, and it's something I really wanted to point out for people because a lot of people struggle in this area. And that is positioning and exposing yourself to unnecessary lines of sight, essentially. So right here, he's jumping up, he's coming around this corner, and he's kind of checking and scanning at a distance because he did see an enemy boost over there. So he is looking towards that area way over, pretty far away. He's not worried about what's close to him at this point. So he's waiting for this enemy, he's waiting for this enemy. He comes right out into the open like this before aiming down sight to take that shot. This was a completely unnecessary move, and he completely exposed himself to that enemy that was sitting in the corner. Now, I know he did get the kill on that guy, but that was pretty much luck. That guy should have killed him in that situation. He just wasn't paying attention, or he had a severe connection disadvantage. He should have killed you there, and you exposed yourself to way too much of the map that you didn't need to expose yourself to. You didn't need to come all the way around that corner to get that same line of sight on the enemy that you were actually intending to shoot at. It was on top of that little bunker area there. So you would have been way better off if you would have stood just a few steps back, not come completely around that corner, and you could have still taken the exact same shot at the enemy that was at a distance. Also, you would have been able to cut off a little bit more of the line of sight that that enemy that actually killed you had on you. You would have had an escape route there because you would have been set back a little bit further. He wouldn't have seen nearly as much of your body, and you would have had an option to simply like dash to the side to get off of that platform there. You could have dashed to the side, got out of there. You would have had a much better chance at surviving that situation, but instead you kind of overcommitted and just launched yourself into that situation. So that's going to wrap it up for today's episode of The Breakdown. Some of the things I really like about the gameplay here are your reaction time, your ability to snap on target, and your accuracy, as well as that one move that you use to basically try and turn on enemies. You make yourself a very hard target to hit by dashing and spinning, and I really like that move from you. We only saw it once in the gameplay that I'm showing you here, but he actually did it twice throughout the entire gameplay that you didn't see. The one key thing that I would work on for you would be your positioning and your awareness of the lines of sight around you and the awareness of the lines of sight that your enemies could potentially have on you. A lot of times you just kind of threw yourself into situations, you had no escape plan, and it seemed like you weren't really aware of all the different directions you could be shot at. You want to limit the number of directions that enemies can shoot you from while you're trying to position yourself in this game. So if you'd like one of your gameplays analyzed in a future episode of The Breakdown, feel free to send me a link to an unlisted YouTube video to the email address that I will leave in the description below. Keep in mind I'm looking for at least 720p in quality, and also I am typically looking for more of the non-exceptional, kind of an average gameplay or maybe even a below average gameplay. I'm not looking for DNA bombs or vicious metals or anything like that. I'm looking for pretty well average gameplay to analyze. If you enjoyed the video, a like rating is always appreciated, and don't forget to subscribe for more if you haven't already. I'll talk to you guys next time.